In this breaking story, Stephen A. Smith just snapped, and he went nuclear on Donald Trump all over this. That's right, this is a public call-out, a public takedown for the history books. How's it going, everybody? Hunter Avallone here with Occupy Democrats. Welcome back to another video. Now we are continuing to follow the fallout from the tragic murder of Rob Reiner, and then Donald Trump's heartless response, basically just dancing on the man's grave.
Yeah, and unfortunately, President Trump is out this morning with a pretty crude, pretty crass post about Reiner, suggesting that maybe somehow he died because of his hatred for all things Trump. Hopefully that's not going to get too much attention today, as it really muddies and pollutes the discourse. We're talking, unfortunately, about a Hollywood murder mystery, right? We have police on the scene investigating what is an apparent homicide. Unless it, somehow there was some accident at the home and there's no indication this was an accident. We're talking about a situation where someone seemed to want Rob and Michelle Reiner dead. And there's a lot of questions I'm sure the authorities are trying to answer and will then answer in the public in due course.
This has been met with widespread condemnation, even extending overseas.
The idea that under any circumstances an American president would think that it was acceptable literally to dance on the graves of two prominent Americans even before their bodies had been removed from their Brentwood mansion in Los Angeles as the police investigation into what is evidently an absolute tragedy for the family, for tearful members of the Hollywood elite, including Billy Crystal and Larry David. There are some reports that suggest Billy Crystal had to identify the bodies. I mean, by any standards, this is, for many people in this town and out on the West Coast in Hollywood, the lowest point of the American presidency in its modern era.
That just crosses every line of just basic human decency to me. Rob Reiner was murdered last night by his troubled, unhinged son. And to make political capital, and what angers me about it is there was all the outrage from Trump supporters, rightly, when the left mocked Charlie Kirk after he was murdered. And I thought we'd reached a kind of consensus that this, whatever side of the divide you're on, this is just unacceptable. That when people get murdered, you just show basic respect. And it's just happened as we came on air. And I just thought we've got to start with this, because when you're the most powerful man in the world, listen, everyone knows I've known Trump a long time. But this is one of those times when many times he's been like this, when big public figures have died. I remember it with John McCain. I remember it with Colin Powell, and each time I just wince at the lack of basic decency.
Yeah, that's brutal, but it's still nothing compared to today's top story. That's right, Stephen A. Smith just called Donald Trump out for his pathetic Rob Reiner post. He went absolutely nuclear. Take a look.
Rob Reiner and his wife just got murdered. Less than 24 hours at the time of this taping. Their son has been arrested for murdering them. You're hearing gross details about how they were murdered. And all you hear about is stab wounds, but if you really, really look into it, it was far more malicious than even that. And the president is blaming Trump derangement syndrome. In other words, they were so nasty towards him, that's why it happened. This is the kind of stuff that's going to get GOP folks out of office. And why am I bringing that up? Because guess what? Even though you speak out against them, in terms of how inappropriate his verbiage is and how disgusting and vile it is and inexcusable, for anybody, but especially a man in his position. The other side to it is that you're going to speak up in arms in defense of him and march lockstep with him under most circumstances, going along with what he says, going along with how he wants you to vote, but most importantly, a lot of times shoving aside the rhetoric because you're saying that's just Trump being Trump. And then you're going to wonder why your ass is going to get booted out of office. This is the kind of stuff that we're talking about here.
Thanks so much for watching. Please click that like button and subscribe to Occupy Democrats so that you can stay informed and help us stop Donald Trump.